Hello everyone, welcome back to Old Dad's Modeling Mess. And in today's video, I'm doing something a little different here. Have you ever been messing around on the internet or YouTube and you see something and you're like, holy shit, that is really cool? Well, back when I was working on my KV2, I was looking up other builds online, on YouTube and stuff like that, and I ran across this channel called Reimaginedmodels. And in his original thumbnail for his KV2 rebuild, I believe it was, he had a picture of a KV2 hull and the turret laying off on the ground, and two guys with the little like cartoon bubbles above them talking to each other, saying something, talking about whether they can rebuild it or not. The thumbnail just instantly, I loved it. It drew me in. So I watched his video, and then I watched some of his other videos and subscribed to his channel, which I highly recommend doing. Very good guy. Love it. And I seen that and I was like, man, I've never done anything like that before. I've always just put models together normally. Well, in my first model kit haul, I had 3 or 4 tanks that were, let's just say, subpar. And my T34 here, the T34-76, was borderline-ish. It's one of those things where you didn't know what you'd be able to do with it. So I decided to use it as a tester tank. And I wanted to try out a couple of things I'd seen. I wanted to try out Night Shift's battle damage, which is like where the round went into the side of the tank or whatever. So I did that there on the hull, and then I did one on the turret. And I seen a tutorial on how to do a burnout hull. And so the T34, I was like, okay, you know what? I'll just slap it together real quick, and I'll give that stuff a shot. And it worked out for the most part. For my first burnt out hull, it's not bad. It's not exactly what I wanted, but it wasn't bad. It needed to have that more sooty effect around there. And at the time, oops, I broke that. And still, as of right now, I'm waiting for it. I didn't have the pigments to do the really sooty stuff to give it that look. But as you can see, you can see where it caught on fire and burnt, and you got the rusty and the burnt and stuff, and then you got the green of the paint. So it wasn't turning out too bad. And then I think it was a couple weeks later, he had this video for his Elefant diorama that he's doing, where he's got an elephant ran out of gas, and there's a supply cart coming, and they're waving them down so they can get fuel from them. And the supply cart is being pulled by horses, and it's an actual wagon. And I instantly loved that. I was like, man, I need to try to figure out some way to do something like that, And I told him, I'm like, oh man, I gotta try something like that. That is really cool. So as I was going on with my other builds and stuff like that, I was trying to, what can I do? And as the T34 was coming out decent, it's like, you know what? I'll 3D print me a horse and a cart and some stuff, and maybe I can make a little diorama out of it. And so that's what I did. I took the burnout hull and I threw it on a piece of XPS foam, as you can see. And I have an old lady with a cart full of all of her belongings, and she's moving on to start over again. And you've got the T34 that got blown up and is on the other side of the little creek. And I was like, that is really cool. So I have a little creek here with some rocks, and these are actual real rocks out of my driveway. And this is the AK pedals, and I did that down at the very bottom to get that dark look, but then on top of it, it's epoxy resin. So it's clear. It's the stuff that all these big time YouTube builders use and stuff like that when they do these really cool dioramas. One of my trees that I make, and the lady here is out of another kit, which you'll be seeing here shortly, I think in the next week or so, I believe. So I stole her, and don't laugh because I suck at painting miniatures. Okay, so yeah, she's just, yeah. But of course I had to have Andy, a bucket for Andy, and then there's a wash tub, her chest with stuff. There's even a frying pan in there and stuff like that. But I just thought it was kind of neat. I went and got some, let me see if I can find it real quick. Here we go. It is dry vines and dead foliage. And so I used that to put the like leaves, because this is a we'll just go with somewhere in Russia, fall 1945. So the old lady's starting all over again because her house got blown up. I don't know, we'll just go with that. And I used an old dried up baby wipe, stuffed it inside the hull, and then I just put all sorts of stuff in there, little flowers and stuff like that. But this here, like I said, the T34, I don't think it would have made that good of a build, to be honest with you. So, like I said, I used it for a tester, and when I use stuff for testers, I'll use it over and over and over again, and they'll get tore up. And so that's exactly what I had planned with this. Is, I'm going to try out different techniques and stuff like that I see. Well, instead of doing that, once I got to this point here, I can't do that no more, of course, because it's here. But yeah, it's got the little rubber band track thingies here, and the way that I did the tracks, how they're down like that, is I actually just cut pieces off long enough to go up top there and on the bottom, and then I actually glued individual track links from my other T34 models that I had to kind of make it look like they fell off and stuff, but it's one of those things where you never know where you're gonna go with things, and then you see something and it inspires you to use your creativity, I guess you can say. Excuse me. And so this is my Reimaginedmodels diorama that was never even thought of until it just one day clicked that, oh, hey, that would be really cool. I have a homemade static grass applicator that I made out of a electric fly swatter. Works great for it. The ground is just some what is it? Polyblend non-sanded grout, basically for kitchens and bathrooms. And I just went through there with actually where is it? It's right here. The end of a round rod, and I poked all the little holes in the ground there for the horse hooves and stuff like that. And then this is like my third cart that I made. The first couple didn't work out quite so good. So I took one of the wheels and then I just rolled it along there and made a bunch of tracks. Just trying weird different techniques and stuff like that. First time I've actually used not the AK puddles, but and the epoxy resin. First time I've used that. So this whole thing here was all a big tester, believe it or not. I wanted to see how things would look if I just used real gravel instead of getting the fake stuff or whatever and then painting each individual one, because these here, every one of them have their own thing going on with it. So I don't think it turned out too bad, to be honest with you. I could have done a better job with the grass and stuff like that, but I like I said, I'm testing things out. Right here where the end of the tracks are and stuff like that on the tank, I used where is it? The ground? No, that's streaking ground. I just used Vallejo's Weathering FX, just enough to get some mud look to it there for the where it went through there through the little creek. The dry vines and foliage stuff here, I just cut the top of it out and I pulled out what I needed. But one of the cool things is if you do this here, you can shake out all the stuff, and then now you've got all these leaves of different colors. And so all this stuff, all these leaves and stuff like that, they're all stuck on with 100% hairspray. I wanted to see how well that would work compared to the fixers or diluted PVA glue and stuff like that. So every bit of this stuff that's stuck to the tanks and in the trees, because you can see it up here, all that is all done with hairspray. 1 second and I'll show you. Five-time Mega Freeze Rave Hairspray, unscented. Just what my wife picked up at the dollar store. And as you can see, that stuff worked great for this. The static grass I used static tack on it. It worked good, but something I did learn was do not mix static tack with Elmer's glue. As you can see, there is no white there down here on this little part that I added at the very end, just to separate the little dirt road between the creek and the edge of the diorama here. I had some leftover Elmer's from, I think it was when I was gluing I'd mixed some up with the tarp there, because that's actually just a baby wipe that I used to soak up some blue paint, which you guys will see what that was used for later in coming video. But I just put some stack tack in with the leftovers from that, and yeah, it didn't quite work out, so it's still white. I mean, I could do a wash on there or something like that, but this was all a 100% learning thing, so I could figure out what works, what doesn't work, and stuff like that. So if you guys have some of those old kits and stuff like that that you had issues with, you decided that you really hated it and you're not going to mess with it anymore or anything like that. Or in my case, tester models and stuff like that, that are too far gone, that, wouldn't make a good build, that you'd be proud of on the display stand and stuff. Save it. You might be able to do something like this. I mean, who knows? I think it turned out pretty good. Don't make fun of my horse harness. I have no idea about horses. That is absolutely 100% made up out of my mind. It works, so we're going to stick with it. The tall grass there, that is Woodland Scenics prairie grass. And the other tall grass you see right here, this stuff here and here, that is absolutely 100% a horsehair paintbrush. That's it. I used that. I wanted to give it that kind of like prairie-ish look, and I wanted it to look like it was, the tank had been sitting there for several months or whatever. So, yeah. There's room for improvement on this, but I really dig it. My son likes it. My wife loves it. I have no complaints about it, that's for sure. Especially since this was never even thought of. If it wouldn't have been for me finding Reimagined Models channel and seeing his thumbnail, that KV2 thumbnail, that hooked me. He had me from that. So I've learned a lot, actually, believe it or not, from him. His Chewing the Sprue thing on Mondays is great. Love it. Full of information. So yeah. Also, real quick before I go, I have an update on the winner of my second ever You Pick My Next build. The PZ3 and the Panzer tied. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to build both. Not at the same time, though. I have flipped a coin, and I'm going to start the Panther first. And then once I'm done with the Panther, then I will do the PZ3. So, yeah. I figured that was really the only thing I could do to make it somewhat fair. That way nobody feels cheated or anything like that. But anyway, excuse me again, sorry. We had spring, summer, winter, fall, all again here in like the last 3 days, so I'm starting to get a cold. But whatever you do, guys, if you ever have the chance and you think something might be screwed up or not worth doing, I give you this. You never know what you can do. And yeah, I think it turned out really good for never being built or never going to be built. So, as always, guys, thank you for watching my videos. If you guys like this type of content, please drop a like and a comment down below. This tells YouTube you guys like watching this stuff. That helps me because the channel grows then, which means I get to do more crazy far out stuff like this and buy more model kits and stuff, which is always a huge win. Plus it's free. I mean, hey, it doesn't cost you nothing. We do have a Discord. Check the link down below in the description box. Nothing fancy. There's places for you guys to come in and hang out and talk. You guys can post pictures of your own model builds. There's channels in there for build ideas. So if you want to see something built on the channel, throw it out. We'll see what we can do. Tips and tricks. If you guys know any good, cool stuff, throw that out there. So, share it with others so they can try other things. I mean, that's exactly what this is all about. Trying the burnout hole stuff. Mixing a little bit of 3D printing in with actual scale model building. And then I have where I post pictures of builds that I'm working on. The sad part is I never took any video of me building the T34 because, as I said, it was a tester kit. I was never going to do anything with it. If this stuff would have turned out good, I was going to flip it around and do a small little tutorial on how to make the battle damage and stuff. But once I seen the burnout hull tutorial, that got thrown out the window. So, yeah, I had to try that because that looked really neat. So, again, thank you guys for watching. And until the next video, I will see you guys later. Bye.